Sustainability can be achieved through designing and installing sustainable renewable energy systems. And in terms of sustainable energy systems, we're looking at three main attributes to achieve sustainability. The first is we have to define a unit of satisfaction. So what amount of energy do we need for our cooking needs? Whether it's a country, a region we are looking at, and how can that energy unit be delivered? So it can be a unit of energy for heat, like for cooking, or a unit of energy in terms of electricity supply that we need for lighting, for businesses, for driving industry. That is one aspect. If we can achieve that, then we can talk about sustainability. And through renewable energy, we're able to do that using decentralized renewable energy systems that can be up to the scale of a household, or decentralized to the level of a community system that can power 100 households or 200 using, say, a microgrid, or a more centralized system for a bigger area. The second attribute is in the offer. So that one talks about the economics, what has to be invested to have these energy systems installed, both as capital investment and the investment required for operating the systems, maintaining the systems. If you think about microgrids, you have to run them, you have to have qualified staff on the plant to make sure that if it's designed for 25 years, for instance, it actually lives for 25 years. So that means in the design we will put control systems, remote sensing. There will be processes designed to make sure that the renewable energy system supplies the demand that we spoke about earlier adequately. So renewable energy has that opportunity because renewable energy can be modular. So it's very easy to design these systems, and it's also very practical to have local artisans within the communities trained. A center like ours can train them. We've been running trainings. We are accredited to train by the Ministry of Education. We can train local artisans in communities to run these decentralized and isolated systems sustainably. The third part, and also very, very critical, is about the stakeholder configuration. That talks about all the players that we require to have on the table. For sustainability, you cannot work alone. We have to foster collaboration within the renewable energy sector. Now, the opportunity we have with the renewable energy is that the government is already making so many initiatives. The government has a strong will, and that's a key partner. We have technical departments in the country that are interested in skilling, providing the technical aspects for the systems, working together. So within that, also adding on academia, adding on partners from financing, partners from the development organizations that are in the country. There's a lot of initiatives and opportunities already, because most people now understand that renewable energy is the way to go. And we have a lot of potential for a country like Uganda in terms of resources. We have solar, we have geothermal power, we have a number of bioenergy options, we have small hydropower. So we have a lot to harness from, and we also have a lot of stakeholders that already see the relevance. So configuring them correctly, everyone to play a part, is a plus for us towards sustainability. We are not starting from scratch, and there are many people that can come to play to make this work. So we work very closely with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. That is a line ministry for renewable energy at all. And within that, the ministry has recently revised a renewable energy policy of 2007 to the energy policy that has collected data and consulted, including our organization, to contribute towards the topics that make sense in renewable energy for the country. So CREEC has contributed, and many other stakeholders have contributed. Within this policy, they've defined the strategy as a Ministry of Energy to advance renewable energy, and that's where we draw from. Our programs is where we look we look to align our interventions as organizations. So we are confident that the government is backing us up. We are confident there's a document that we can quote. Now, also within the National Development Plan, energy is a key area for performance. Vision 2040 and many other documents that touch on energy. So that gives us a good landscape to work. By definition of renewable energy, these are resources that can be used over and over again. Of course, with sustainable energy design, with the sustainability at the center of design, we are able to, for instance, use solar for a very long time for different energy needs, electricity needs that we have. So because they are renewable, it means that we are cutting down on carbon emissions. I give you an example. If we are using, let me use the simplest example in clean cooking. Clean cooking is an initiative to cut down on carbon emissions. So if we do clean cooking, say, instead of using tons of firewood to cook, say, in the big institutions, prisons or schools, and we design a more efficient technology for cooking that cuts down on the amount of wood that is required, it is very proportional to the amount of carbon emissions that are cut down, because the carbon emissions are coming from the wood. So in simple terms, that's how I can say. So by designing efficient renewable energy technologies in clean cooking, for the different fuels, there's firewood, there's charcoal, but we're also now doing ethanol, we are doing using electric cooking. So by designing efficient technologies, appropriate technologies in clean cooking, we are cutting down on the use of firewood and biomass in different amounts. Other technologies reduce by smaller percentages, but others like e-cooking reduce it close to 100% of not burning any firewood. So that is proportional to the amount of carbon emissions that we cut down. There are detailed sheets on how to do those calculations, but I won't go into that now.
Now, when you look at this, Uganda has many renewable resources that can be used for energy production and the provision of a lot more of the other energy services. These resources may include bioenergy, then we've got biomass, and then also biogas, part of the renewable energies that are available in the country. And only that, there is water, hydro, then solar, geothermal, and wind energy potential in a country where we are richly endowed in energy resources, including hydropower, like I was mentioning here. You get to realize that there is also the country also has physical energy resources. This particular one has the potential. For example, we do have the potential of physical energy resources, which include an estimated 2,000 megawatts of biomass cogeneration, often at sugar. This is actually often at the sugar manufacturing plants. For example, those in Lugazi, Kachira, you can name the others as well. Then 460 million tons of biomass in stock with the sustainable annual output, which is roughly around 460 million tons of that. And then also there's 460 tons of biomass in stock with the sustainable annual output, which output of 50 million tons on an average of 5.1 kilowatts or day, kilowatts per hour or a day, that is of solar energy, and about 250 million tons of heat, that is around 800 megawatts. The total potential of renewable energy power generation, as illustrated in most of the areas within Uganda, clearly show you that when you look at geothermal energy, will take over around 8%. Then we have hydroelectric power, which takes up the largest percentage of 38%. That is actually followed by peat. Peat actually takes over around 31%. Then solar energy takes over 8%. So the highest level of energy being produced, renewable energy power generation, goes back to hydroelectric power, which is generated from River Nile. in that space. But of course, sustainability of renewable energies takes us back to how Ugandans can still look through generating energy by using biomass or biogas, as well as looking at an option in solar or geothermal as well. Good morning, it's Monday, and we are here to give you more updates regarding business. Hope you're doing fine as we now head to the press review this morning. Well, the press review has got the East African newspaper, Daily Monitor, and the New Vision, with the East African newspaper having a survival of the richest as inequity skyrockets. Where do we see this one now? How the world is richest 1% pocketed 63% of the wealth created on the sweat of the dirty poor is another report coming in here with the East African this morning. Now, also in regards to business as well, SACCOs now go for big banks lunch, as credit cooperatives in Kenya have set out to embrace fund bank borrowers as big lenders continue to enforce stringent new loan requirements. This is according to what the East African is highlighting. Now, among the other columns that you will definitely find from the paper today, there is an article that says exposed the rot in power utility firms. Now, audit lifts the lead on over expenditure at Kenya Power. This is coming in from the East African. Then also in the market space, why KenGen wants to shut subsidiary. It seems keener on concentrating on its core role. This is according to what the report has actually highlighted here in the East African. Then besides the East African, the Daily Monitor, schools are milking policy hanging in the balance as the program, which has already been piloted in 3 districts, is meant to be rolled out nationally once schools resume next month, but it has invoked questions about its viability amid funding gaps in the education ministry. This is according to the Daily Monitor this morning. Now, also, medical interns have issued fresh strike threat. Of course, we did see some of those videos that were trending over online, that is over social media, on Saturday, after some of the medical officials were given a sum that was actually totaling up to 600,000 Ugandan shillings. Then the other reports suggest that others received land titles. So it is something that you could clearly see why some of them want to go on strike, citing inequality in there. Now, government is seeking renewal of a 600 billion shilling livelihoods program. This is according to the Daily Monitor this particular morning. Now, also another humanitarian story regarding a man who has used 36 million shillings as a bribe to fly from Entebbe direct to Brazil. Who is this particular one? You will definitely get more of those particular reports coming in from the Daily Monitor. Then lastly, from the Daily Monitor, the governance gaps have left the National Social Security Fund cash at mercy of vultures as low caliber board members and middle-some politicians leave workers' money vulnerable. The last piece of the investigation into the fund is definitely showing. Now, lastly, from the press review this morning, the New Vision, about 60 staff have been dismissed over misconduct in 2 years inside the Entebbe airport scandal, which hit social media last week. And of course, government and the Uganda and the Civil Aviation Authority was quick to notice to cover up these loopholes that have been tarnishing the name of the airport and operations at the Entebbe International Airport. Now, in regards to land evictions, over 450 landlords have paid 75 billion shillings, according to a list that is in here with the New Vision. Then, on the other hand, you get to realize that something to do with power vandalism, power line vandalism. Government is set to ban scrap dealers due to the same matter, because they are the main targeted ones in regards to getting these particular materials or electric materials as well, which are metallic at the end of the day. And that is it for the press review this morning. Now we're heading to the traffic outlets with Barija Andrew to see how the flow of traffic is this morning. And now we are heading to the traffic updates to see how the flow of traffic is this particular morning. As Berija Andrew will definitely be giving you a guide over how you will definitely kickstart off your day, or how you're going to be setting up your movement on which routes to use, which one not to preferably put yourself into in case you want to reach early or arrive early at work. So you should be able to at least scale your proper game properly if you are to at least reach safely. And now we're heading over to the traffic updates this morning. Jump and of course, as the vehicles keep on capping and keep on coming through to at least ideally get into a busy day, which does look like another one. And switching over to areas that you can clearly know that traffic is actually picking up, why you could actually use the Fairway Junction or Fairway route around Kololo, Lower Kololo, around Chitante, is basically because on the other routes, for those who are actually joining into the city, look very busy. Ginger Road, for example, those who are actually using, those who are actually coming in from the routes of Zambia, Chivuli, it is already tight. The traffic flow is already a bit tighter, and for this particular morning, so that means there's going to be a little bit more of how you will definitely be able to scale up or use and utilize this particular time to at least find which better routes to use. But of course, since it's a Monday, you'll find out that areas like Entebbe Road, that is for those who actually use the Bench Wanuka streets, especially around their clock tower previously, you get to realize that some of these particular scenarios need you to be early, need you to be very early, to wake up very early in the morning, because that way it is actually better for you to at least scale up and see how you will reach work very fast. And the flow of traffic in Kampala normally on Mondays is one that you could definitely know that is actually characterized with a lot of tightness at the end of the day, simply because it is a day when people are getting back to work. It's a rush day. It is a rush hour day where everyone is actually rushing back to work to see how they will actually be able to execute what is necessary at the end of it, or looking back at how the week has fared, now looking at a new week ahead of it. So it is highly a time when you get to realize that it's time for them to kickstart off the day very fast. Now, when you switch over to the Ginger Road, you get to realize the traffic over there has always picked up as early as 7 on days like a Monday, as you can ideally experience in that particular regard. And when you see the morning breeze taking up, you always immediately know that people have already hit the road. As early as 6:30, the traffic is actually outnumbering the passengers at the end of the day, or the vehicles on the road are normally too many already. The borders and of course the traffic officers are normally already deployed on that same space. So for you as an individual, it is highly time for you to at least know how to quickly move up. If it's a Monday and you've been normally waking up at 6, you should be waking up at maybe 5:30 or 5 in the morning to at least see yourself through and get to work as early as possible in that same space. It's not that easy, but then you can at least see how you can juggle through the different avenues in order to reach earlier at work with the traffic updates, because you get to realize everyone has a better way of kickstarting off the day, and everybody puts themselves into the best of options in order to reach quite early at work. And so should you as an individual. Try as hard as you can to at least see your way through town, as you can definitely see that it's actually picking up. The traffic is actually picking up in most of the most parts of town and most parts of Kampala, that are actually joining in Kampala. For those who are actually coming in from Mukono, Bwege, Richireka, then there are those who are actually coming in from Bugolobi, then those who are actually coming in from Zambia, Namuongo, industrial area, hitting town. So town is actually the main target this particular morning. So that means you are definitely going to be experiencing some traffic jam in the next 30 to 1 hour, if I am to put it in that way, in regards to how the traffic is actually moving. And of course, that is it for the traffic updates this morning, and pretty much a time for you to at least see how you will definitely scale up yourself and plan prior to how your movements will be. But as we go into a break, remember to invest in government bonds with Zabu, a platform which is definitely there by Altex East Africa. It does give you an advantage to invest and grow your money, because every single day that passes by, you have the chance to invest in government bonds and securities. So with Zabu, which is powered by Altex East Africa, says my money, my future. Altex East Africa is definitely there for you to at least see that your money grows. Use the USSD code *292#, follow the prompts, and definitely kickstart off your investment journey. Zabu, my money, my future. And it is definitely there, dedicated to ensuring that you as a user or as a subscriber can grow your investments journey with the platform. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. The opening time for the markets open at 8:15 a.m., close at 3:15 p.m., and they are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Good morning indeed. After the break, I'll be returning with the Caribou East Africa and the latest with the international news.
Smart 24. Drive